Third time the charm. Another break, about 10 seconds. Please bear with. You're listening to the Overwatch Rundown, a weekly podcast covering the latest in the esports scene of competitive Overwatch. Today is Monday, May 7th, and we are covering Stage 3 playoffs of the Overwatch League. Jax, special podcast today. Obviously, it's the end of another stage, and we have end of stage playoffs to talk about on this fine Monday.
Lot of Overwatch this last 5 days, man. A
You're
lot of Overwatch.
you're not wrong about that. I mean, listen, we've talked about this at length in terms of our fatigue and fatigue levels, and then you have these end of stage build ups to try and keep hype really live for everybody, right? Like I've mentioned in our previous episode 86, about this idea of trying to keep the hype really active at all times, and it maybe being a bit of a burnout factor. And here we are, we split up your season to have these, frankly, somewhat meaningless stage playoffs and stage finals. And I have to ask you, Jackson. I do want your input on this one. Like, what's your opinion on this format now? Like, having gone through three quarters of the stage finals, do you like what they're doing in terms of trying to split this up into like mini tournaments with money at the end? Is this worthwhile for them to do?
I don't really know. I mean, it gives me another chance of seeing the best teams that are currently, playing in that stage. So previously we saw Boston beat New York, right? And then now, well, I guess I have to watch what I say since we haven't covered it yet, but we have Boston and New York back again to potentially meet in the playoffs. And I like I like seeing the best teams play. One of my biggest criticisms of the Overwatch World Cup last year were at the lands. They had two groups going. And at the very first one, before I knew what the format was like, I said, okay, I'm looking forward. I think it was Team France versus Team China.
Yeah.
They were playing at the Shanghai qualifier. I think that was the first one. And I'm saying, oh, I cannot wait to see France v China. And then we go to it and they play and they each win their respective groups. They qualify for the final land in Los Angeles, and then they don't play each other.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
And
That
it
was
drove me insane because that it was at a time when both those teams were incredibly strong. When we saw Team France again later on, Rogue had struggled. They had all kind of issues. It just wasn't the same. Even Team China literally wasn't the same team. Team China made, I think, 3 or 4 roster changes. Some of it because of visa, some of it because of potentially shady dealings with the coach. But it wasn't the two teams that I wanted to see months prior. So now we have yes, we have them playing throughout the entire stage. I love that. I also like getting to see them play each other again. Like in stage one, we had New York and London. In stage two, we had New York and London again, but the opposite result. And to be honest, these end of stage finals so far have been pretty good. They've been reverse sweep. So, we've gone this distance. We're seeing these teams fight and, you know, put forth their best effort and seeing what they're made of. I do wonder um how much these teams care about the end of stage. I mean,
yeah.
it's money though, right? It's what, 25,000 for second, and is it 50 or 75? I think it's
I think it's
75.
75 for the winner,
Yeah.
which is a
So
significant prize pool for
yeah,
like mid-season.
so it's something for the players to play for. But I mean, I don't know
Nice
what
bonus, maybe.
how the money is split. So I don't really have a problem with the end of stage playoffs. It's
Uh,
just it's just for me, it does kind of add into, this quote unquote burnout because now I've got another day of 3 games to watch, and I've already just had 4 games of that, and you know, it's a lot of Overwatch, man. It's just a lot to consume.
yeah, I definitely agree with you. Actually, I know I came at this sort of suggesting that maybe there's a problem with the hype level what I specifically like about this that maybe you didn't touch upon, which is with each stage having different patches,
Yeah.
what this allows us to see is for that patch, he was sort of the king of that patch. But then I have to come to a big problem that we're facing coming up in stage 4. We can talk about this maybe more next week, but I want you to start thinking about this, and everyone can start thinking about this now that I'm putting it out there. What patch will be played on the grand final playoffs? Will it be
It,
the same patch of stage 4? And at what point do we just say the winners of stage 4, if they make it into the playoffs, will basically do the same or do equally well in those grand final
no,
playoffs?
I mean you're absolutely correct. Even looking at it now, going from stage 3 to stage 4, the meta has the potential to shift so much just with the inclusion of one hero. Just by adding in Baguette. Sorry, yeah, Baguette is
We'll
how
be
I.
using Baguette around here,
Yeah,
guys. But
that
we of course
that's
mean
that is that
Brigitte,
that.
but I will
you know,
probably correct like that. But I want you to continue using Baguette because come on, that's going to
Baguette.
be commonplace.
See, you've known me for a while. Like people who know me outside of the internet know I'm not good with names. I assign names to things to help me remember them. So she's pretty much Baguette for me. There might be times where I actually do remember. See, like I would call her Bridget, and even
I
Bridget
think
is
most
not
people,
correct.
yeah.
And so at that point, for someone who's bad with names like myself, you're asking me to do too much. So she will be Baguette, but not just about the end of season 1 playoffs, but and something that we're not gonna get into it. Just something to think about. There was a post on the competitive Reddit today saying that the patch the pros play on needs to be the same patch that we're playing on live. I know that's impossible to do because they're not going to balance. When I say balance, they're not going to put out their balance patches based around the Overwatch League. But part of the disconnect that I think people are having right now is the game we play. When we sit down to play, after podcast, if I sit down to play a game of ranked, is nothing like what I just saw at the highest level yesterday. It's just because they're behind us, right? And so the association isn't there, Lepelos, because I'm where's Baguette? Where is Hanzo with his broken arrow? And I think that's a problem that the Overwatch League will have to work on going forward because it's man, it's rough.
Yeah, no, I definitely I'm in agreement with you that there is huge issues facing the implementation of trying to balance like live versus pro level play. But guys, you know what? This is a conversation I think we'll
Yeah,
probably be
next week
getting
we're
into
definitely
next
gonna
week.
have it next week for
This
sure.
turned out to be a pretty good preview for what we're likely going to talk about at even more length. And I know we probably spent already about 10 minutes on this because this has huge implications for the future of the Overwatch League. There are many other things, including some recent posts that you put on the Discords talking about this, and we'll probably bring these all into our discussion then. But we're going to try and keep it short on this episode, and that means we're going to get right into Stage 3 playoffs right now, Jax. Oh, man.
Lepelos he needs a sip of water, something to help him out there. The stage 3 playoffs, I kind of like what they did. They kind of went the OGN route by allowing um the first place team to pick their opponent. We saw that a lot in OGN. I was curious to see how it would go. I'm hearing a lot of strange noises from Lepelos. Hopefully
That was a
Lepelos
car
is
somewhere. I'm sorry,
is
man.
okay.
That was
Normally,
that
I'm
one.
used to hearing the ambulance. Like that is not an ambulance. I
Nope.
don't know what that was.
Someone
So,
ripping it down Pacific Street here in Vancouver. Anyways,
but like I was saying, Overwatch League going a little bit of the OGN route by letting the first place team pick their opponent. I think I didn't know which route Boston would go. Um,
yeah. I don't know. Like look, they seemed like in terms of their approach, I think they would view um things pretty wisely, and I think they picked wisely too, Jax, considering what happened
mm,
earlier in the week. Because
they're
okay, let's talk about Boston's options. You had NYXL. No,
yeah.
you're not going to do that. left you with the two LA teams, and you just beat LA Gladiators earlier in the week, or you had to take on the LA Valiant.
I wish I had the numbers in front of me. The only reason, Lepelos, why I would say potentially, if you're Boston, you take New York in the semifinals, is because the maps are different. Take a look at the map lineup for the semifinals. It was the same in both semifinals. You had Junkertown, Ilios, Anubis, Blizzard World, and Route 66. If you go to the finals, the map pool would be Route 66, Nepal, Volskaya, Nambani, Junkertown. I don't have the numbers here, like specifically the percentages of the maps that their win-loss percentage on each map. But if I'm the Boston coaching staff looking at this, do you like the first map pool? Does that suit you more than the second one? Because if it does, then even if New York is a stronger opponent, we want to face them on your strongest set of maps, wouldn't you?
I mean that's a good question. If you like, maybe that's the grand strategy, but maybe if you want to secure a position in the finals and ensure that you get some money for your players and do reasonably well and have that title level experience and not just a semi-final that you may or may not win against NYXL, you pick the easiest opponent. And I have to give it to them. That's what they did, and they did it with a little bit of edge,
A little
obviously.
flair there. I
A
mean,
classic Huck, Jax,
it's
classic
it's
Huck.
it's dangerous, right? Because you say the classic Huck, but I look at what they did, and that is so. I'm looking more at the ownership, Robert Kraft, and his major sports franchise of the Patriots. Don't give your opponent sound bites like that. You don't give them ammunition. What he did when Huck says, they want to warm up, blah blah blah. That is something the Patriots would not do. The Patriots would take their opponent saying that and use that to boost and fuel their players to play even harder because of the lack of respect. Now, for the Patriots, a lot of it is the coaching staff. They have to find that little extra motivation because of how good they are. So if someone is trash talking like sweet, they just gave me something to work with. So here, if I'm Huck, I was honestly a little surprised. I liked it because I like trash talk. I know you may not be the biggest fan of trash talk. I like trash talk. But I was a little bit surprised that Huck went that route, considering who he's representing.
Yeah, in terms of the craft thing. Although
Yeah,
I could see this being a discussion right now about the lack of personality in the league and Huck being formerly a bit of a trash talker and a personality,
right.
sort of living up to the moment. And I think he did it well. So I didn't think it was, it was pretty, it wasn't too memey, should we say. And I think it probably caught hydration off guard a little bit. But yeah, you know what? It was a good pick, though, in my opinion. I think LA Gladiators make sense here, and that's who they start off against. On the other side, that put uh, NYXL versus LA Valiant in the other semifinal. And to start the semis, though, we did start with the Gladiators versus Uprising, and we can cover that one here as it started on Junkertown, Jax,
Yeah,
and started well for Gladiators on Junkertown. Sure for landing a pick right off the start, and
I
from there,
remember we were watching this live, and you said that pick probably got them first and second. Like that's what you said right after it happened, and the Gladiators did in fact ride that through the first 2 points.
I mean, the pick I believe was on Kelix too, right?
Kelix,
So
yeah, it
your
was.
Mercy immediately gone, which is probably the most valuable person right now, valuable hero on your team, right? You lose your healer like that, the one that can res people and keep fights alive for a long time right off the start. You're done. You're done for unless you get a miracle turnaround. Did not happen here for Uprising. Uprising in second then had to deal with the momentum and the ultimates that were built from the first fight that they lost soundly. And
Yeah,
that's the problem, right? Like you lost that first fight. Second fight, they're gonna have at least some ultimates, and if they work together, then they can land them. And you know what comes out? Halt, self-destruct, 3K or 2.5K. I can't remember if it was a DMEC there. I had 3K in my notes here. And Gladiators just roll in a third, no problem whatsoever. Looking bad off the start here for Uprising. But you know what? It's Gladiators, Jax. Why don't you go ahead and tell us what happens in third here? Uh, I think I think there's something you might have to say about Gladiators in general.
No, I mean it's more. We talked about it last episode, or at least I did. I talked about the Gladiators lacking that killer instinct, that champion mentality. That listen, it's the playoffs. Our life is on the line. We're going to take it, and we're going to survive. I looked at what the Gladiators did on the first two stages of Junkertown. I'm saying, okay, this team, they're ready to come. They're ready to play, and then they get to the final third levelos and they get stonewalled by Boston and they get stonewalled by Boston and they get stonewalled by Boston. And I'm saying to myself, where are the adjustments? Where is anything that might get you to the end and complete the map? Sure for gone a little cold. Hydrate hydration. Why is he on Roadhog the entire time, Lepelos? It's Junkertown. Remember, I think 2, 3 weeks ago we had a conversation briefly when I asked you the question: is there any more map, any other map that favors one hero as much as Junkertown favors Junkrat? And for me, it's still the best. It's still the best correlation there. Junkrat works the best on Junkertown compared to any other hero on any other map. It's ridiculous what you can do. The tires that you can get on this map.
Yeah,
And then Lepelos, I'm at a loss. Hydration, who is their Junkrat player, he's on his Roadhog.
Jax.
Roadhog hit or miss.
It wasn't great. I'm gonna ask you though. Do you think they pulled a dynasty here and figured out that hydration's not an attacking Junkrat?
Is that what it is? Hydration
I
too
don't
much
know.
like Fleta. It needs to be more like Wakid. It's just
Who knows? I'm
but look,
gonna say the
but even
following though.
even if not a
Neko
Junkrat,
came
why not a
huge.
Genji, right? Like why stick with Hog the entire? He wasn't
Yeah,
getting the picks.
I agree with you. Neko though, huge pick on Big Goose and I believe Surefour for that first stop. That was a key one there, and Striker coming alive as well in that hold at 96.33
Yeah.
meters in that third phase. Uprising goes on attack, and mistakes get initial picks on Surefour. Again, picks matter, and Uprising again getting the next pick right after I believe he was Rez. Roll through A. They do get split and hurt a little bit by hydration early in the second. I guess that
Yeah.
defensive Junkrat coming out. But you know what? Striker, his own Riptire coming out, just misses Big Goose, but finds kills anyways, including a 2-kill Conch Mine to get through that B point. Still 5 minutes on the clock. That's a quick time, despite that little
I mean, the
slowdown in
Gladiators
second.
also had a good time though, right? It's
Yeah,
just, can the Gladiators have a final stage defense, a final third defense like the Boston Uprising? That would be the decider. Can you do what your opponent just did to you, Lepelos? And the answer is no. They can't.
they held well for some time, but the fact is their attack being stopped at the way it was in third allowed this to happen. Uprising able to make it through.
I mean,
After a rip tire by hydration, Jax, if you remember this one,
yes.
that you might want to mention. But
I know. I
right
have here
down
in
the
my
middle.
notes. Lepos, I have here in my notes. The final fight is a tale of two tires. I remember I was talking to a friend of mine on Discord about it because she's a Gladiator fan, and when I said hydration has got to get something from his tire. His tire goes out. He runs it literally right down the middle of the road on Junkertown, and Boston's like, "What's this gift that he's just left us?" Well, they shot it. He got nothing from it, and then Striker was like, "Let me show you how it's done." He counters with his own attacking Riptire. He gets two, the most important of them being Big Goose on the Mercy, and they roll it in from there, Lepelos. What was that tire? Just right, it didn't go. Lepelos, all the angles you can approach on Junkertown, and you roll it down the middle of the road?
There was either. I think I'm going to say this, which is I think he expected them to be a lot closer to it and a lot
Yes, you
closer to
said
that
that,
corner.
yeah.
And them not being there cost them dearly, right? Because you look at all the different ways a tire can be used, including just to buy time, which would have also helped them even if that tire did die. If that tire was out and bought them an additional 10 seconds to find the positioning that they wanted, that'd be great. As it is, it did nothing. And 2-kill Rip Tire coming from Striker allowed Uprising
Got
to
the big.
push in,
He got the
close out.
Mercy when the Mercy is gone. I mean, I say it's a tale of two tires, Lepelos. It's also a tale of two Widowmakers. Yes, Surefour started very hot on their attack. He had some picks on defense, not enough, if I'm being honest with you. But the telling thing is the damage. I don't have the exact numbers, but I do know mistakes playing the Widowmaker, which everybody was questioning. Can he hang with Surefour, who has been red hot on Widow? The answer is yes. He not only performed Lepelos, he doubled or almost doubled Surefour's hero damage on the Widow. Doubled.
Yeah, that's not a place where you want to be if you're the Gladiators. They're down one going into Ilios, and of course, what do you start on but ruins on Ilios? That means Widows coming out both sides here. You'd think top Widow in the league, according to some, Jax Surefour might have something to say here. Maybe bring things back for Gladiators. And indeed, despite okay, well, I will say this: Surefour finds the air pick on mistakes.
Yeah.
Bishu demeched and Asher down, but Surefour gets mistakes again. Gamsu goes down, and Gladiators eventually take point. But Uprising got the point early, so that
It's
flip
just
was at 55%.
Lepelos. Watching it, I remember I'm saying this is a free 50% for Boston because King of the Hill is the one map type. Well, sometimes honestly defense on 2CP as well, but King of the Hill is the one map type where you don't mind staggering so long as your percentage is ticking up. And I hate, and you hate, and everyone should hate when a team gives up free percentage, especially if it's the very first fight. As you Surefour was doing work, he was getting the picks, right? They were getting the kills. It's just the disconnect and not paying attention to the objective and giving it up and struggling then to take it back. 50% puts Boston at a fantastic position. And ultimately it worked out in their favor, Lepelos. 100 to 65 on the ruin, sorry, on the first map of Ilios, and Boston is now in a strong position going into the lighthouse.
Yeah, on the Lighthouse, we get, well, no Widows, but we do still have Hitscan McCree's coming out. Fisher
Yep.
finding good value off the very first fight here. Gladiators take point first, but it doesn't last long. Striker showing up, getting Bishu. Just that easy. You take that Diva down quickly, you're going to have a bit more damage coming out. They leverage that into a quick flip at 29%. Fissure, again, shows up. Fissure is showing up. 2-kill, Primal Rage, doing well. But can we say here there was maybe a moment Shaz could have been a little bit late on Transcendence, and Neko again for Uprising showing up as he did on Junkertown late in that third phase defense for Uprising. Here it's
I know, Fisher's English has improved, but at times when I look at some of the ultimates that Shaz uses, I wonder if the lack of instant communication is a problem. If you watch the Gladiator games closely, the number of times, and I think I asked you, or I said, I wish I had a stat that showed how many times a tank, either the Winston or the Diva or whoever, a tank for the Gladiators died, and then Shaz used Transcendence. It's anecdotal for me because I don't have the numbers, but I'm telling you that number is high. He quite often Shaz is just a split second too late, and here without no Fisher, without honestly Levels, I say no Fisher, but honestly without Surefour, like his
very
Widow,
quiet in the second
his
half here.
Widow very good. His McCree, where is he at here?
Listen, I agree. He was very, very quiet. I mean, even Asher was doing some work here on this one. He got a pulse bomb in the final fight on Gamsu to start, but Striker landing his own pulse bomb on Asher to shut him down causes Gladiators some problems. Gladiators unable to do anything. 129 on the Lighthouse stage. That's a 2-0 for Ilios, and
I
2-0 already.
I don't have the stats that I want to have since it was only yesterday. Winston Labs has not compiled it, so I'm using the over.gg stats that they have up, and those are not eliminations; those are final blows, right? So I'm looking at final blows for tracers here. On Ilios, Striker had 9 final blows and 1 death. I look at Asher Lepelos, 4 final blows and 6 deaths. 4 final blows for a tracer on 2 rounds of call. That's too low. That Striker
Yeah,
I go back to what I said the previous episode in the previous series these two teams had, where I said, Asher, I don't even need you to beat Striker. I need you to slow him, to annoy him, to harass him, to make someone else, specifically mistakes, or Gamsu or Nico, or sorry, no, getting my divas mixed up, have them beat your team. It's not happening yet. They're now on their last leg, Lepelos, going into it's a best of 5 series here for the playoffs, and they're going to Temple of Anubis, which Boston has lost only once. That was this stage. They lost to the London Spitfire, but it's still one of their best maps.
yeah, and I mean Anubis is not a great map for gladiators. So I mean, I just have to. I already joked about this with you
Yeah.
the other day, but gladiators have a problem on that bridge to B point. But
Lepelos, you have to get to B point.
you
What are you
do.
talking about?
I mean, mistakes just hitting his shots. Slow ults coming out of the side of gladiators, and again, late transcendence coming out from Shaz. Used to go deep for Striker. Striker just backs off into a little hidey hole with his Junkrat, and gladiators a
Lepelos, the
poorly
timing
lost fight.
the timing of that transcendence made no sense because I say it made no sense because they use it to get deep. That makes sense. Use the transcendence to sustain your entry so you can get in and finally get in the range to do damage. Who are you trying to get in the range with? Well, you have Hydration playing the Genji. He's got his Dragon Blade. I'm saying to myself, you transcend the in. He's going to use the Dragon Blade to do damage while also using the transcendence to help him stay alive while he's swinging his sword. There is no swinging of the sword from Hydration. The other problem that I have, Lepelos, is Surefour on his Tracer, who did nothing. I mean, I'm sorry, he didn't what he was there, so he was physically there. That was the extent of what he did on that Tracer. But they ran this 2-2-2 Genji Tracer for 4 minutes,
Can we
and they
just
did 0% here, Lepelos. This
it
is your playoff life on the line.
it the only team that's working worse on Anubis is Fuel these days, to be honest. This was a very anemic attack here coming out of Gladiators. Let's just flip it around. Uprising go on attack. Hydration does do some good work on his junk rat off the start, but not enough. Uprising get an early pick. Hydration nothing on Riptire. Also resets his trap after just as mistakes
Yeah.
gets caught with it or caught in the first one with Dragonblade, who now freed gets a kill on his Dragonblade. A little bit of errors. I am. That's an aside. Like I'm not gonna be hard on that. I think he was probably already pressing the button when he got caught, or when mistakes got caught on his Genji. But it was just a comedy of errors. And honestly, Uprising looks like the far better team here as they take Anubis 1-0 in
Lepelos,
series
I
3-0.
I expected so much more from the Gladiators. I watched their post game press conference later with the coach, and I saw another thread today on competitive Reddit. People saying, "Oh, hey, vote Coach DPay of the Gladiators for Team USA head coach." There is no chance in the world I would vote for that man. He's not saying he's a bad coach. I'm saying he does not have what I would want to represent my national team at the World Cup. There is no preparation here from the Gladiators. They ran the exact same strats, Lepelos. There's nothing innovative here. When you're telling me that the best you can do on your life is on the line, right? Your playoff life is on the line, and the strat you have come up for your team against the best team on Temple of Anubis is Genji Tracer. How much Tracer has Surefour played in the last month?
Yeah,
Are you kidding me, Lepelos?
definitely
Genji Tracer
disappointing.
for 4 minutes with no adjustments? Come on, man. It's the same. Here's the thing. It's the same problem that I had on their Junkertown attack. They had what 4 or 5 minutes to
Yeah,
push the final third, and they ran the exact composition for that entire time.
I think there's a reason why Boston picked them. That was very evident in this
They
matchup.
wanted a warm up.
They wanted a warm up. They got. I mean, I'm not sure if you can call this a warm up, man. I've seen more competitive players in gold beat me at deathmatch than this looked like. Okay, that's a bit of an exaggeration, Jax. But honestly, it was not a pretty series coming out here. It was a very quick series. Other than the Junkertown
The only thing that has let me
fight.
down more than the Gladiators, Lepelos, is my 50% packet loss right now on TeamSpeak because my internet is garbage like the Gladiators. I I watched this series. I was infuriated with how bad they were. I'm sorry, they're in. You want to know what made me even more upset
All right,
is the
what's that?
very next series between the New York Excelsior and the Valiant, because the New York Excelsior Lepelos, they not really innovative, but they changed it up. They didn't come out with the same Bastion strat like everybody else on Junkertown. They made it interesting. They made me sit up and take note that, like the casters were saying, we've seen this composition before, but not recently. They went outside of the box, not just on this
Yeah,
map, but in
in
in in their
general.
substitutions as well, which I plan on getting to. The glad I'm
Well,
there's
we'll get
no
into it though. Okay, I mean, Ella,
God, this team, dude.
Los Angeles Valiant going on attack first here though. Soon getting the pick on Pine. Similar story, Jax. I mean, watching Junkertown play out again, pretty much the same way when Gladiators moved out. Maybe some different picks, but soon on fire get for a quick A point here for LA Valiant. That's what you want. You want your team to be rolling against the top team in the league off the start. Riptire in the second phase finds Arc. Kareev 2.5 kills in there on I believe the tanks, and Valiant quick second as well. Great start for the team here that is placed as the underdog. That we're talking Valiant, but
It's the same Lepelos. I might as well be watching the same map. I might as well be watching the same map.
don't
The
worry, Jax.
Valiant.
There is something that they do that is slightly different
Okay.
than Gladiators. They switch their compositions.
Lepelos. With about 45 seconds left, the Valiant decide, well, this hasn't been working for the last 4 minutes. We've got to try something else. They go full 2-2-2 Genji Tracer dive, and lo and behold, they win a fight in the final third, but it's not enough to get them all the way to the end, Levelos. But at least they tried something different. So they are at least a step above the Gladiators, which shows by their end of stage placements. The Valiant were third and Gladiators were fourth. We see now why that is, because the Valiant at least have, the brains to, well, 3.5 minutes we've been doing this, guys. We've got to try something else here. The Gladiators would still be running
And
hydration over
some
there,
some
trying to get a
say
pick.
some say they might still be running hydration there on Roadhog, but we don't know. NYXL though, you're talking top teams. What do they bring out that's different here on their attack? What
I
did
mean,
we've seen it
it's
before though? We've
oh
seen
no,
from them.
we've seen it before. But if you think about it, have we seen it this stage? Have we?
Uh,
Not really, man.
Yeah, that is true.
Maybe we
I
we,
think
we,
maybe
we saw
once.
the two. We saw the double sniper basically.
Yeah,
I mean, people were some of raising their eyebrow when the team come out like no Sabobi, and then when you see what their plan is here, they've got the big boss man Pine on the Widow, and then they have Libero playing the Hanzo, and it
you,
works.
you you're in a strawberry field because you got picks for days. But listen,
That's pretty much what happened.
yeah, it was pretty much what that happened. Lots of alts in the second fight too, trading for the favor of NYXL. They find value where they need to, right? Like
Buffaloes, they find value the entire length of the map.
and pick a
They
player.
never Buffaloes. What was Jonak playing? He wasn't even on Zen.
Well, he was playing that Roadhog, and
3-2-1 with just Arc on the Mercy. That's all they
that's
had.
all they need. NYXL roll through for easy victory,
Where are you?
including Pine going down and Jonak doing work in his place. Listen, the depth of this roster for them to be able to play the hero pool that they can in terms of off classes and
Where
do
are
well,
the
incredible.
adjustments from the Valiant?
Left at they're trying to wait another 3 minutes and 30 seconds or so, Jax. I'm not entirely sure, but hopefully they can improve on Elios. Lighthouse coming, Bunny in for soon. Farahs are out, and there is no Pine on Ilios. What's going on, Jax?
I was so when I started talking up the Excelsior, I said I love that they made adjustments. I was talking. We were on TeamSpeak. We actually had some people. They're aware of Overwatch. They watch some of the Overwatch League, but they don't watch it as much as we do. They don't know the players like we do. And this one of the guys was like, wait, they took Pine out. Why? And I'm saying the same thing. They took out the big boss man Pine on Ilios, which is the map where he made his name on stage one, where he popped off and just was taking heads with his McCree. And now I'm saying to myself, they're not going to run him on Ilios. They're bringing in Sabobi and then they're going to fight agilities fair be fair. I'm not saying that Libero's a bad fair. It's just I thought or I feel that New York's McCree would be better, but are they trying to challenge themselves, Levels? Are they trying to prove something? I mean, coaching staff says we're going to beat you at your own game, and the Valiant kept it close, right? Like the map was close,
They
but what
they were
happened?
199 on Lighthouse here, but ultimately the ultimate value again not there for Valiant. Valiant were able to get good pressure on Lighthouse though. Libero 3 kills, including a 2-kill boop.
Lepelos, the boop. When you see the replay and you see how he does die, you see how low he gets though, but not before he gets the 3K, including the important boops. I'm like, my goodness. But what did I say? Champions, winners.
They find
You
the
know,
way. Life finds a way. Okay, well, fares out again. Second
yep.
stage here, the second round of Ilios. NYXL at 1-0 on the map at this point. NYXL finding the early pick again, but Agility's a strong fair player. 2-kill barrage securing the quick return for Valiant.
Yeah.
However, trades continue. NYXL immediately come back. Kariv very questionable. Valkyrie in that losing fight. Valiant only able to get it up to 48% here. It goes back and forward. And can we just say at this point, Sabiobi here coming alive and destroying Custa?
I felt bad for Custa, but he's not the first support to die like this to Sabobi. Sabobi is, the best at hunting down supports when it comes to the Tracer. I'm just, it was close, right?
It
Like
was close,
compared to,
including that barrage. Can we
yeah.
mention that hilarious barrage battle between Libero and Agilities? Agilities looking up at Libero, and then his barrage ended, and you got that rocket off just to finish him off in
I
that
mean,
trade. That was pretty funny.
it's
But
the smallest of margins, 199, 199, but the New York Excelsior take it, and now the Valiant find themselves in the same position that the Gladiators were, where you have to go to Anubis, you have to get a win to keep your life going, and how does that go for them, Lepelos? Honestly, I don't know about you, I was a little surprised they didn't bring Soon back out because Soon is their Widow player. And on Temple of Anubis, you're going to see Widow on that first point.
and so Bobley here doing really good work on that, finding Bunny off the start.
Look,
Barrel gets Agilities, easy first hold, and
I
that's
have to,
pretty much the
I have
story.
to ask. I have to ask. I know they were probably preparing for their match, right? The
Yeah.
Gladiators were out playing, but you can't. They're monitors. You can't help but glance at them to watch, especially you know eh, the Valiant come out with a 222 Genji Tracer. And my mind is blown because you have just seen the Gladiators get absolutely nothing with this attack. Nothing. Nothing at all. 0%. And now you just told me that the Valiant come out. They got absolutely nothing, Lepelos.
Jax, I listen.
What?
You can watch the meta progress through the teams right now. Teams have figured out the positioning well right now on defense of A point Anubis. In NYXL, once and Korean teams, we've mentioned this about the Korean teams with Korean coaches. They do very well when they have something to study and something to practice time and time again. NYXL showing that they're the best at it here. They knew what to expect coming out of the Valiant. Valiant not throwing any curveballs, not throwing execution at them. Like, how many times here was Custa left in behind as the
Lepelos,
Valiants move forward?
I'm hoping that my over.gg page is messed up because it's showing me the heroes that were played by the Valiant. They didn't make any switches on offense or defense. 2-2-2 Genji Tracer defense on Anubis first point, Lepelos.
Listen,
Are you trolling
it's
me
a
now, man?
1-0 here on Anubis. Series goes
Lepelos,
3-0
they're trolling
NYXL.
me.
Not a surprise. Not a surprise watching what happened there. But I
Where's
go
the Junkrat, Lepelos?
Jax, I go back to what I said though. The Korean teams do, like, we've mentioned this, we've talked about it and had a discussion. Just going to refer to it again. When you give no different curves to these Korean teams, you're betting on your execution out outplaying the level that their
Pueblos,
execution.
you're going to outplay
Yes.
Libero and Sabolbi
And the
with
answer is
Genji
no.
Tracer.
No,
Are
you
you
didn't hear.
trolling me, man?
They didn't. They
Seriously.
didn't hear, and that's not a surprise. NYXL move on to the grand finals to face off against
What a
the
horrible
Uprising.
performance by the Los Angeles teams. Are you, I,
Got to be disappointing if you're from LA, Jax.
I, Lepelos,
Regional teams.
I really
Regional
was
teams.
refreshing my page because I figured, my internet was lagging and it didn't load the portraits for the other heroes because at the time it did not occur to me. When is the last time we've seen Anubis played by a team with no Junkrat or Widow on offense or defense?
Yeah, no, it's definitely a disappointing. Like it did not look
Oh
like they were prepared for
man,
that. Jax, do you think NYXL and Uprising prepared for each other going into the grand finals this week?
probably.
I
I
would say
mean,
that's probably likely considering their standings. NYXL though, they wanted the rematch surely, having lost earlier in the stage and being the first team beaten to the first team to win
yeah.
all of their games in a single stage by the team that upset them. This is the matchup they wanted for the grand finals, and they got it. So,
I mean, this is the matchup they wanted. This is the matchup I want. I mean, I wanted my Gladiators to win, but if considering the performance they put out, I mean, fine. I'm glad we got this instead. Boston, New York, currently, the numbers don't lie, right? They're 1-2 in the stage. Are they 1-2 overall? I think they are 1-2 overall right now because of London's disastrous third stage. So remember when we talked about the playoffs earlier, do we like this format? I like it because I want to see the best teams play.
yeah,
And the semifinals, I mean, that I was keeping track of it. Like they said at 1 Pacific, you'll get the Gladiators versus Boston. At 3, you'll get the Valiant versus Excelsior, and then at 5 Pacific, you'll get the winners. The finals. And here we are, 3:45, 4 o'clock, and they're like, wow, we're an hour ahead of schedule because the two LA teams played that damn bad, and I need something to rinse that badness away, Lepelos. Like this was I wish I had now taken the time to watch Blank versus Detonator Korea because it would have been more entertaining and competitive than the two previous semifinals.
that is very true. It was very disappointing how they performed. Jax, let's talk about the finals
Joke.
though. Route 66, that's where we're starting, and because of the stage difference, Uprising is actually quote unquote the home team, so they get to defend first. NYXL going on the attack, and what else do we have but Jonak and Mano finding kills on something a little different coming out here for attack from NYXL.
I
Believe
mean, yeah,
it's not completely outside of the ordinary. We have seen some of this composition develop for some teams on Route 66 attack before, but champions find new ways to do the same thing and do it proper. And I feel like that's what NYXL did here.
I
Easy
mean,
A point.
they both ran the Tracer Widow, but they both ran the same supports. The difference were in the tanks. From the New York Excelsior, we had Orisa Roadhog, which I admit I was not prepared for, and Boston came out with the classic Winston Diva, which I'm sure New York was prepared for. Boston was not in any way ready for this lineup. I mean, you're saying Jax, it's not that big a change. It's a pretty big change. It's they were bullied. I don't know how else to say it. The
Yeah,
Roadhog came in, made his presence known with all that HP pool, with the right click, with the threat of the hook, forcing you to position differently. You can't if you peek a corner against a top tier Roadhog, you're gonna get hooked. So you can't take those chances that you might normally take. Boston not prepared. Lepelos, Sabolbi super woke, and that was a pretty good first point push.
in very very quick time. But what Uprising did, and I like this from them, is they're trying to settle themselves early in the game. They backed off, didn't try and force a late A hold. That's important because that allows you to set up a defense in second, maybe at an earlier phase than you usually would, and that can have lasting implementation. Neko, though, picked early in second. Uprising managed to pull themselves together anyways, and managed to get mistakes in Gantu hyped up here or worked up here in doing good stuff for the Uprising side. But listen, it's not easy to hold in the second against a team with Jonak on it with
I mean,
Pine out there like that.
I think it's almost impossible because they had
Or
5 minutes and 20 seconds. I think it's almost impossible for you to hold a team with the caliber of New York Excelsior for 520. I just don't see it, and it wasn't the case, Lepos. So Bowlby, like I said, is woke now. He's come to play. He put in incredible work in the second stage. Now Boston did buy themselves a lot of time. Right, it started with 520 to push second. They had 2:45 to push the final third distance. So, they bought themselves 2 minutes there.
I mean, some of that unfortunately is making up for time lost
Yeah,
on that 8 point defense that was
yeah.
non-existent. Maybe I should go back and see if that's one of the quickest 8 point times you can have. In any
Good.
case, here we're entering third, and messy fights allow NYXL to make some distance into it. But I have to say, if you want to watch the effect of support players, and not fragging support players, but support players getting your players back up and keeping them in the fight, Uprising here, keeping Mistakes and Gamsu up. If you watch the health bars in this the extended last fight here,
Yeah.
huge play coming out of the support players for target recognition about who needs help or who's about to need help, and making sure they don't die. Maybe you can say on the flip side, NYXL not finishing kills. I wanna credit this one to the supports of Boston Uprising,
I
keeping
mean,
them
no,
up and fighting
the
that hold.
the supports of Boston did a fantastic job. Part of the problem, though, it does have to lie with the New York Excel because what can a support player not do? Well, maybe Mercy can undo. If a Widowmaker is there and getting the picks and getting the headshots, you cannot heal that Leplos because you are in fact dead. Pine has now gone silent in the final third. But I mean, there's no big boss presence there. Mistakes. I think it was Hex said multiple times, and specifically I remember in the final third because remember, I said earlier we had guys on teams with us who they're not used to it. They're saying, "Wow, Pine is not really doing much." And then literally right after he said that, I remember Hexagram saying, "Mistakes. I don't need you to out kill or outbeat Pine. I just need you to mitigate, to slow him down, right?" Which
Yeah,
is what I say. So what is what I said all the
they
time
must be
when it
listening,
comes
Jackson. They
to
must be listening.
what's what I said. It's the same thing that I said to Asher, even though not to Asher, but I don't need you to beat Striker. Just stop him. You don't have to stop him. Slow him down. Mitigate what he can do to harm us, and that's what happened here. And Pine, not just because of mistakes, but because of Boston as a whole, because Gamsu was in his face. And Note, they came together as a team. Fantastic hold before the final third, Lepelos. Starting with 8 point, you says, "Wow, this might not be that long," because New York ran them over.
Yeah,
They held in second a little bit, and then they held again in the final third. 2 points and 66.71 meters for New York. So now Boston, when they go on the attack, you have your win condition, you have your distance. Now you just have to meet it.
and it starts well too. Mistakes initial pick on Uprising attack here. Striker a few picks as well, but man, Mano, Jonak, and Sabiobi here putting together
That's all you need.
a incredible low man hold against Uprising on the attack on 8 point. You listen, they
Fantastic.
hold again through the next fight as well. That's a lot of time here already. I mean, it's pretty
Lepelos,
long
I
to
can,
get through 8 point, and that's a pretty
I can
severe
give you
time
I
to
can give you
hold.
the I can give you the numbers. New York had 520 to push the second point. Boston had 325. That's almost a 2 minute difference.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully, Uprising able to get value again off of mistakes, getting the pick on Pine early here,
Yes.
carry through that fight based on that initial edge, giving them a good advantage in positioning. Now, Note staying alive in the next fight, hilarious. Bunny Blasters coming out. NYXL almost hold, but Sabiobi not quite
That
on
next
time
fight,
on that cart. And you
Lepelos,
you
I'm
mentioned to me, I wasn't paying attention. They didn't have the three people on
I'm
the
not
cart.
sure. Yeah.
This is questionable, but I mean, Sabiobi just a little bit off of time here.
It's so
Everything
close.
adds up when you're talking about edges. Uprising get
It's
into third.
it's so close here, man. I almost wish I had the ability to just, type in the numbers into my simulation and say if they had three, like if you timed it right, because Sabobi contested right before second with a triple blink. That last blink is what got him there. And so I just want to say, okay, if you leave Sabobi's blinks as they were, if they had two on, if they had three, would they have made it? Because the payload was stopped 2.03 meters short. Live when I watched it, I'm saying, wow, that's a huge mistake. I think they would have gotten it. Now when I went back and watched it, I'm like,
Yeah, it's
Sapoli
hard to know.
probably still 2 meters is a lot, and I'm not sure the third person would have got it there. But you never know. It's just it's the
It
reason
forces
why
them out sooner, though, right?
it
Like,
forces them out sooner, and the reason why I don't like it is the third person who got off was Gamsu. And so you say, okay, well, Gamsu got off for a reason then. He wants to be in position to contest when they come back out. Except he didn't, Leplos. Sabobi triple blink out, Mano jumps out, Meko flies out, Arc Valkyrie flies out. That's 4 out of the 6 who have already made it through that choke point. They killed Jonek because Zen is slow. But what happens? Arc is like, you didn't really kill Jonak. I just got him back up again. And so I went back to look at the numbers because I wanted to make sure. Sabobi triple blinks out Lepos, 155 left for them on their attack. When they finally cap it, 1 minute and 7 seconds left. That's almost 50 seconds, Lepos.
and that's huge. You're talking about trying to.
That's wow, dude.
That's a
50
fight.
seconds is it's so big, especially when you look at what happened in the final third.
Yeah. So in final third, can we mention what happened here now? We're talking about NYXL holding at the corner to take up some time off the start. I love it. I love when teams try for this aggressive defense, at least that first time,
Yep.
early in the third phase. You know how much I like to play the clock, Jax. Here, NYXL doing precisely that. And you can't, from there, like, you can't make a clean entrance against Jonak or say Biolby. I mean, you do need it, particularly here on Route 66. You need a clean entrance. You need things to come together. But they're clutch players, and they find the kills on the entry.
They find the kills, Leplos, and one of the biggest ones for me was going into overtime. Note blows the self-destruct. He's like, okay, I'm going to get back into my mech. And right before he completes the call, Jonak is like, you are dead. No Diva. Diva is so important when staying alive in those scrappy end of round fights. And Boston was then forced to stagger. They couldn't stagger. And the fact that New York did this, New York, fantastic team defense, Leplos. And the one thing you notice we haven't really, you mentioned it, but it was not in a positive light. The big boss man Pine is not really there. His presence is there on Widow. So you have to respect the Widow because she is there. But he wasn't getting the headshots. He wasn't really doing
Yeah.
much other than forcing them to, like I said, respect that his Widow is on the field. But Sabolbi, Mano, I love Mano as a tank, Lepelos.
Doing work.
He gets away
Jax,
with
that
the aggression that you talked about. Just fantastic play from New York to take this first round.
I agree. Great work from them. This is still a contest, though. Like, I don't look at that as a complete failure from Uprising. There was a couple of details and great detail work
That
from
second
NYXL.
point, 50 seconds that they almost was 48 seconds that they bought,
Jax,
largely on Sabolbi, Lepelos.
I mean, I go back to the first phase and that
Yeah.
three-person hold between Mano, Jonak,
Yes.
and Sabiolbi.
Yes.
And you're looking at all the clutch players on NYXL right there.
Levels, what is it like? What has I've been preaching last episode? The champions, the winners, man. If it's on the line, they're going to find
Yeah.
it however they can. But
You want players
we're going
to play
to Nepal
up.
now.
Yeah, and we're going to Nepal. And speaking of playing up, do you think they're playing up their strategies a little bit here
Nepal's-
on Village?
I told you. I like the fact that New York and the coaching staff, they're
You know
again,
what I
this is
don't
not
like
new.
though?
This is what they did is not new. We saw this. I think again, I'm taking you back to one of the guys we had on TS with. He's like, wow, they did this a year ago, or back when I played, 18 months ago. And what did they do, Lepelos? What did they do that
We're
we all see,
talking-
that we all love?
Listen, we've seen it. We've seen a sentence. Maybe we need to
Yeah.
call it the Outlaw Strat, Jax. It's a bastion here on Village that we're seeing on Nepal.
But you don't really expect it. There's no way Boston could expect this, Lepelos. You don't. No one expected the Bastion. No one. You cannot tell me Boston was prepared for this. However, Boston reacted as if they were prepared for this. This was, wow.
Yeah, no, Boston. Okay, well, there's like one minor hiccup, Jax. They did allow the point to be captured with that Bastion there, although I get why you can't really contest with it. Pretty funny stuff, though, when the Bastion and the team has to get into the corner of the point room.
That was hilarious. And the thing that I don't understand is Jay Jonak on the Anna. I don't understand what
Why?
Anna is supposed to do here.
I mean, they stick on it, too, after the switch.
We'll see, like the first time he gets picked first. Like before, like when everybody went high ground, he dies, and
Such is the
they
way
don't
of
have a
Anna.
mercy to revive him because Animo, who came in for Arc, is playing Lucio. So there's no revive. He has to come off spawn, and Anna is, as we all know, has no movement. So it's gonna be a minute before, not, it's gonna be a decent amount of time before he gets back. But they still push forward because there's no disengage. When you have you're not getting out if you have a Bastion. You can try to
Yeah,
Lucio out, but it's not gonna work. They went to the point. They set up in the corner. They got that first early percentage, which we hate it, but fantastic that they got it, Lepelos. But even more fantastic is Boston not panicking. So
yeah,
many teams would have crumbled to this Bastion, and I think Reinforce, who was not on the analyst as he was watching it, he even I think he either tweeted or he wrote about it on Reddit, where he commended Boston for keeping their poise and taking it right back. This could have been, the 50% that the Gladiators gave up to Boston in the semifinal. This could very well have been this Lepelos.
yeah. It could have been very, very quickly, but you're absolutely right. Unfortunately for them, not enough value. I mean, despite Jonak sticking on that Anna after that initial fight for so long, NYXL NYXL still managed to get the point back late and going into OT with Libero and Sabiolbi doing the work that's necessary to do that. From there, alt value, name of the game, NYXL has pretty good alt value coming out. Sabiolbi again doing work through. It's 100 to 99 here, I believe.
Lepelos, where his
For
mistakes gone? Where is he gone?
he's gone silent. He's pining for Pine to be back in, so at least they
feels
can
bad.
they can
All
stick
right, well,
together.
we go to the Sanctum for the second map.
Arissa Junkrat Widow strats out, Jax. That's pretty
Oh, boy.
typical these days for the Sanctum. Junkrat spam is king. Honestly, I
Tell that
cannot
to
tell
the
you the
Gladiators,
RNG of
Lepelos.
those bounces. Both sides finding value off of it. Let's be honest, both sides were. What's the difference though? Sabiolbi popping off on the Widowmaker. We've been highly critical, both of us, and especially me. Maybe me. I'm not sure. You guys can judge. I've been highly critical of his Widowmaker.
Yeah.
He's showing why he's
I
a strong player though, because he breaks it out and does it when it's necessary. What I'm saying he does is he performs at a high level when it's necessary. This Widow actually came out and did work on the stage, and to me, that's the larger edge that NYXL here
This
had
was a
on
larger
Sanctum.
edge here. The other edge they had was Libero using his rip tire from practically spawn Lepelos.
Oh
When
man,
Boston was about to, it was like who was it, Bryn on the telestrator at halftime even talked about it, and I even said to myself, like, this is ridiculous because the tire went across the map. It went across the map, Lepelos, from spawn down the left side, imp the high ground, all the way around. It didn't kill anything, but what did it do? It drew Note's attention away from the fight because the tire had to be dealt with because the tire will kill everybody if you let it. So Note is distracted by the tire. The team pushes in at that 97, 98%. We're into overtime. They brawl it out. There's no diva there. They get it. They hold it. And as you say, Lepelos, they held it on the back of Sabolbi's Widowmaker. The stats they showed us during the transition period, Sabolbi went 10-1 on Widow with a 37% crit accuracy level, Lepelos. 37%. You want to know what I hate, though? What I hate is that they didn't give me the numbers for mistakes. I have nothing to compare it to. When it came to mistakes, do you know what numbers they gave me? They gave me his McCree numbers from the first round of Nepal. Who cares?
yeah,
Who cares?
good. You might as well give us
They
the
do this all
Bastion
the time,
numbers
and
too,
it
Jax.
pisses me off, which is why I'm ranting about it.
Yeah,
Give me, I'm sorry, if you give me Sabolbi's Widow stats, then you must give me Mistakes Widow stats.
oh,
I
you don't
have
want
to
to
be
hurt
able to compare it
feelings.
to something.
You don't want to.
Give me McCree. Who cares?
You don't.
McCree.
You don't want.
Widow.
You don't want to hurt the players' feelings,
I
Jax, by
hate
being
that,
honest
dude. They
with
do it all
stats.
the time.
They're a big family. Let's be honest. They're a
I
big
hate
family
that.
there, and
Oh my
they
God,
they
I hate
protect
that.
their own. That's what they're doing. This is not.
Drives me up the wall. They do it all of the time, man.
That's why
Because
we keep it real and
Lepelos,
journalistically independent here on the Overwatch Rundown, people.
my goodness. But
We
as
can
you
say
said,
what we
this
want.
was Sabolbi. This was a fantastic
Yeah,
37% crit accuracy.
yeah,
Like we were
that's
talking about
really
Side
high.
Player was what 39%.
It's
2
incredible.
weeks
It's
ago?
incredible because I've been so hard on him. He's
Yes.
clearly he brought his level up. Listen, we've said that about a few players. We've said that about Surefour coming up into this week. Difference between what Surefour and Sabiolbi have done. Sabiolbi performs in the clutch and steps up to the big games. I
He
cannot
did.
say that about Surefour. Listen, I know I'm bringing him back in. I'm sorry, but I just
No,
wanted to.
it's
I want to put
it's a fair
because
because
we
people have
said
been
both of them
yeah.
have improved, and I just want to say why I think Sabiobi is doing better. It's because he brings it out even better or to the next level when it's on the line at
It's
very
the
big
I mean
games.
part of it, part of the Widow, is when it comes to Widow, you're living in the moment because
Yep.
Widow is bursty and streaky, and right now
Talking
in the
about streaks, though,
championship,
Jax, I
you know,
want to jump in right here
yeah,
because we're in the championship game. We're going to Volskaya, and win streak on Volskaya here for
undefeated,
Boston Uprising is what I want to talk about.
undefeated levels.
Undefeated on Volskaya. This is their their hope to bring it back to Uprising side, get a game at least going their way. And of course, we're going to see Tracer Widows coming out on both sides on at the attack on A point. Mistakes, great start for that first hold.
Levels. This is the third Widow that New York is running in the series. This is Libero on Widow.
And
We just talked
everyone
about
gets a turn.
Saboldi popping off.
Well, Sabalbi does pop off though, and this time on the Tracer, Pulse Bomb getting Neko, then he gets Calyx, and then like what, 3 more from there? Was it a 5K?
That was 5. No, it was actually, if you want to be fair, it was 6 because he got Diva and Baby Diva.
It's
That's a
5.5.
mech
I call
and a
that
baby.
5.5K, guys.
Levelos.
That's just what I
This
do.
was filthy. Like I couldn't believe what I was
Beautiful
seeing.
play though. Beautiful play coming out of him.
Popped off. He popped Hero, and damn, fantastic work. Because they were struggling, right? That was with 2 minutes and 20 seconds left. I think they had 5 minutes and 50 seconds, sorry, to push the second point. Incredible performance by Sabobi on Volskaya. Incredible.
Yeah,
Libero
this
drops
one.
the Widow for Sombra, so we now have 2-2-2 Tracer Sombra on attack. Mistakes drops his Widow to go Genji.
I
Do you
think
have any fault in their attack levels? 3 minutes and 3 seconds left in the time bank. Anything that stands out to you?
I'm going through here on my notes. A huge hacks by Libero actually on mistakes. Massive. This would be the key. If I had to put it down to anything, he managed to get Dragon Blade out for 2. Like he managed to prevent Dragon Blade twice. I think he got an EMP out, and then he manually hacked him to prevent Dragon Blade when he needed it to come out. Huge for the NYXL not to lose anybody in trades because of that. Snowball that fight into a full cap. That was not the transition fight, but that was, I believe, the fight after that.
The thing that stood out to me was we had a lot of camera time on Jay Jonak, and we talk of Mani talked about or coined the phrase Jay Jonak syndrome, because other Zens want to be pocketed like that, and I saw it because Boston tried to get a Jonak Lepelos. They tried so hard, and all I saw was the beam from Arc just attached to his backside the entire time. Health drop down, shoot back up. Meanwhile, Jonak is just pumping out damage. Libero is running around hacking people because Sombra just does that. And Sabolbi is like, listen, you want to focus on my Zen? I'll go and kill your whole, support staff because I can do that. Fantastic play. I mean, it was the bait. They kept going for Jonak in the back. But there's other people on the team you got to be worried about.
Yeah, definitely.
3 minutes and 3 seconds. Fantastic time.
Fantastic time. Uprising go on attack. Libero forces Rez on Striker earlier. Mano down on the side of NYXL, but Jonak lights up mistakes and notes Mech and Note, and then Gamsu. Are you kidding me? I mean, they show Libero cleaning up there. From there on, I think he gets like 2 or 3 kills. But like, come on, Jonak just lighting up the kill feed at like a DPS again. You just mentioned him. He's on fire right here, right now, for the last few minutes of the game. That's where you want your Zen to be. Good place to be in. That said, Note coming right back, shutting down the Sabolbi flank here. Huge play coming out of your Diva player on the side of Uprising. This gives them opportunity.
It was just like, I think Hex made the joke, somebody get the name of that truck. It felt like a truck. He just flew in on Diva and was like smack, and Sabolbi went from alive to dead.
It was good. It was definitely. Listen, you don't get many moments where you don't get many moments where Tracer dies at all at these levels. Let's be honest. Yeah. Striker also getting a pulse bomb kill on Jonak. Take A. Stagger is horrible though for NYXL. I want to mention that more than anything else because this cost NYXL right here. They came back and tried to contest that A point, and they looked like they did not communicate or were not all on the same page. Because what did you have? You had, I believe it was Arc dying there, the last person die in between, the transition between A point and B point incredibly out of character for the NYXL. I don't know what else to say. It didn't look like what you expect out of NYXL here. I just momentary. I think they were feeling the moment, like we can hold here, we can do it.
Yeah.
Somebody was saying that, and somebody else was probably being like, "Yeah, let's do it." And then they semi went in, but it was a bad idea. I would see this in one of my games. Honestly, I would. And it's not an insult. It's just factual. That was a huge mistake, and a rare one coming out of NYXL. Snowball allows Uprising to carry it out. 4:19 on the clock because of that
I mean,
mistake.
mistakes
Huge.
who I've been critical of, or he's like I said, Widow is streaky. He went on a good streak here on the Widow for the B point. They wrote it. They wrote it in. Got the levels. This is their best map. You can't be surprised though. This is their best map. Undefeated. Undefeated.
Yeah.
So
NYXL
I'm
has
not
to go on
surprised.
attack again though,
Yeah.
because of they let this cap go out in 4:19. That's an incredibly quick time against NYXL. I don't remember seeing a time bank so large against NYXL
It's rare.
previously to this.
Very
But
rare.
here NYXL goes on attack again. Mono caught early as Neko like Rez has come out for both sides. Let's just be honest. Like,
Yeah.
I hate watching picks go to waste because of Rez. But anyways, that's not here or
Wasn't
there.
really a pick, Lepelos.
Yeah, is it really a pick at that point? I'm not sure. You know, they kill something, but it gets back up. So, Uprising do manage that first hold, including a late kill on Meko there. NYXL though coming right back, some poke. Jax,
This was Mono, Lepelos. This with a minute and 5 seconds left. Mono with a primal rage. What is a primal? Literally primal rage on Winston. It just goes ape and starts swinging the fist everywhere and jumping around. It's made to cause havoc. It gives his team space to operate and allows them to cap that first point. They were struggling.
You
But
say
Mono, I mean,
you say that first point. How about that second point? Mistakes. I mean, that second point they had chance too aggressive early. He dies for it. So like Mano's play himself. I go back to what I said on their defense.
okay.
I think they're getting a little bit excited here, which is weird to say about NYXL, but I think this is what's happening.
The problem here, this was actually. So you remember me telling you that Boston was focusing Jonek so hard on that first defense, and the rest of the team went around killing everybody. When I first watched this, I was like, wow, Mano. I went back, I watched the Mano died. I'm like, wait a minute, why is Mano dying when Jonek has transcendence? Because something that drives me crazy are Zens who let their tanks die when they have trans. I'm saying, what is Jonek doing? So I went and I looked at it again, and sadly, I don't have it from Jonek's perspective. But what I do see is Note flying across the mountain. Where is Note going? Because Mano is in his back line. And it just occurred to me, they're all in the back on Jonek. And the problem with Mano is his team wasn't with him, Lepelos. He went deep, right? I get that he's going.
It was a good counter dive from Uprising.
Jonak was in the back before he didn't even get, the entry point to Volskaya B point. He didn't even cross that threshold. And Arc, like I said before, was attached to him with the beam. And I'm saying to myself, wow, that's unfortunate. However, they win that little skirmish. And then Arc with the Valkyrie, he flies in. He gets the revive onto Mano. Except now things are a bit off anymore because the timing isn't what it once was. Mano gets up. I put the clip here in the Twitch chat where you see the massive primal rage that Mano has.
3 kills,
fantastic
I believe, right?
Primal rage from him. You see all of it, and you're saying, wow, they did all that, Lepelos. They didn't even get a tick.
They
he did all that work, and after all that, you get 2 CP. But it was a fantastic example of the pressure that is exuded upon Jonak. Because you talk about Mano. I mean, Mano should have been aware, or perhaps, they just counter dived him at the perfect time where Mano could not, his leap is on cooldown. He can't get back in time. But I was wondering this. I'm like, what is Mano doing here? Why is he dying in this position where he has no help? And then when I go back and I watch it and I slow it down, I'm like, they are on Jonak, and it was in the exact same spot.
It makes sense.
It was in the exact same spot.
Yeah.
And now Boston has got their win condition.
They absolutely do. They have a second attack, and they have a time, or like they just need that third of a tick, I believe it was, on that B point to get the map win. Mistakes getting Libero off the start feels good until that res again. Jax, oh my god, we're
I
back to
told
do it.
heroes never die for a price, level up.
Okay,
They
so
don't
first
die.
res out, Libero gets Neko, res
Yeah,
comes out again.
yeah.
Uh, that's okay though. Right now we're getting into the real fight. Jonak Libero lighting up the feed to hold. All right, first fight done. Sabiolbi. Next fight, great pulse bomb on Neko before Transcendence is ready, but res on Neko key because he's able to get that Transcendence mid fight. Keeps that fight close, and with the closer spawns, Note doing work, Mistakes getting back, getting Jonak and Sabiolbi and Libero. That's what you need. 8 point. Okay, you secured your draw. You have 2 minutes 14 seconds on the clock for that B point
That
attack.
was a full minute more than what New York had. New
Yeah,
York had 105, and now they're at 210, 214. As you said.
it goes exactly with the 419 versus
Yeah.
303 difference of Uprising
Yep.
versus NYXL respectively, going into second attacks. Which I mean, great. These teams are. This is what you want to see: teams competing and competing on a similar level. And Jax, this was really close here at the end, including Mistakes switching to McCree. Huge plays coming out. That McCree almost getting the Deadeye kill on Arc.
Okay, Lepolo. See, so now we got to talk about it. Because Arc
I
has
thought
the Arc. Okay, we had Mano was going down. Mano was going down. Arc had the Valkyrie up. He was trying to pump heals into Mano off on the right side of the B point, because Mano is trying to hide and just trying to buy himself some time. Jonak pops Transcendence because Mano is critical even with the Mercy beam.
Yeah.
Although I think at times Mercy was drifting out of range, but he was critical. He hits the Transcendence to save Mano's life at that exact moment, and it's almost unfortunate timing for Mistakes that he used the Deadeye then Lepolos, because I went back and I slowed it down frame by frame. There was a split second, a fraction of a second, where he could have killed Arc on the Mercy if he had pulled the trigger. I mean, it's probably too fast, faster than, because I had to slow it down to 0.25 speed just to see it.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to see the skull. I had the skull. And then Arc, he went back. Arc was on left side. He went back towards middle. Jonak just happened to be in middle with the Transcendence. And as we all know, Zen is invulnerable when Transcendence is up. Mistakes pulls the trigger. The Deadeye does not get Arc because Jonak has body blocked it, Lepolos. Is that a 9,000 IQ
No,
play by
absolutely
Jonak,
not.
or is that just fortunate circumstance?
I believe that's absolutely fortunate circumstances. Listen, I don't think Arc was moving at a high angle. I don't think he knew exactly where he was. At best, I could say Jonak positioned himself somewhere where he thought he might block someone on the lower side. He didn't know Arc was above him, flying backwards at that angle. I think it's partly good positioning, Jax, but it's also partly luck.
by Arc. Because I want to ask
Yeah,
Arc if he knew he could go and fly behind because that was there, or if Arc was just trying.
Arc was just trying to escape.
So it's like, am I giving too much credit to Arc? Not enough. Am I giving too much credit to Jonak? Not enough. But if Jonak wanted to block, would he not then move in directly in front of Mistakes face and completely block? But he couldn't because Mano needed the heal.
So these are questions. I don't think it was an
fortunate circumstance. I mean, fantastic play, but
I think it was zone blocking, Jax. He was somewhere, he's in the right region, and if it happened, it happened. But he wasn't going to
as much as I say, winners and champions find a way to win, Leplos. At times, you need that little bit of luck.
I think that could have been a huge
play. Got that. Because what was Boston's best map has now turned into a draw. And for Boston, that is a disaster.
Yeah,
because you needed this map having gone down 2-0 already.
Let's talk about map 4, though. Now you're on map 4, but you're still down 2-0. So you're still... You didn't even get a map.
Can I give you some numbers right quick? Tracer numbers. And there's a huge thread about it on competitive Overwatch. Striker Lepolos was, make sure I have this right, 37-9 with 15 final blows and 17.5k damage, or 17.6 really if I round up. Sabolbi, however, 51-8 compared to Striker's 37-9. So you look at the elimination discrepancy here, Leplos. Now, having said that, what if I told you Sabolbi did less damage than Striker? 15.4 compared to 17.5, but his eliminations are so much higher.
I, con-
51 to 37 Lepelos.
there's two things going on. I think you see the context of uh, Sabielby being a more either like he doesn't focus on tanks as much, so the damage
Yes,
is
he
going to
goes.
be lower.
They talked about him. He
Yep.
goes for the supports, whereas Striker goes for. I
The
know he
the
goes for
other
tank.
thing,
He goes for everything
yeah.
basically.
The other thing though is you also see the team play coming in pretty strongly. Like
Right.
in terms of Striker, maybe I don't want to say lone wolfing it more on his eliminations because I don't think that's the case, but I think Sabielby really coordinated with his team in terms of when he finishes off kills or joins in finishing off kills. Like they do it as a group.
Right.
They do everything as a group. Striker, we see him pop off at times and get solo eliminations, and he's amazing for it. But sometimes that means you don't get the eliminations that the rest of your team, like you don't join in on their eliminations. Jax, let's go move into Nimbani.
Okay.
NYXL going on attack. You got Pine back in. You got the
Lepelos.
Widow coming out. You got mistakes on
This
76 on defense
this
and Neko on that
again.
Ana.
Again, I am loving what the New York Excelsior are doing. Not okay. I'm not so much loving the Janus because you know me. I just got done
You're
talking about how
right.
much I like the Nano. And now, I've got Janus in, and I've been critical of Janus because they seem to lose maps when Janus is playing. The thing that got me is Pine coming in for Libero because this is almost is the opposite of the situation in the semifinal against the Valiant on Nepal, where they on Ilios, sorry, where they dropped Pine and brought in Libero. And I'm saying to myself, Pine is made for Ilios, and I'm saying to myself, Libero is made for Nambani, right? He can play hit scan, he can flex to project. Like if he plays, what is he plays Pharah, he plays
Yeah.
Genji, he plays Junkrat, he plays Soldier, he plays Widowmaker. Like that's Nambani. That is anything that you want a DPS to play. That is Libero, and they take him out and put in Pine, who's mainly hit scan. I'm like, what are they doing? What do they have planned here? Because I did not expect this switch.
Yeah, no, I don't think Boston Uprising did either. And as teams really focus on preparation, having switches like this is, well, can we say it's very difficult to try and react to? Obviously, I want to see it. I want to see this happen more and more. Teams
Lepelos,
trying to
can I
get
just give you
reads
the
off of each
numbers?
other.
I mean, there's not much to talk about. Can I give you numbers?
Three, yeah, go ahead.
540 to push the second point, Lepelos. And he's okay. That's just the
That's what,
second
by the
point.
way, I have to double check. That might have been, I think we might have seen somewhere in the past something like a 3:13 tap time.
Yeah.
I think this was 13 or 3:11.
You don't expect this in the finals of a championship game when Boston is
Yeah,
fighting for their life levels. But
incredible.
as Hex pointed out, they were not prepared. I'm sorry. I'm stunned. I know Boston. You don't expect the boss man Pine to come out on Widow
You're
here.
you're
You
not done
don't.
with the
You might
numbers though,
expect
Jax.
Farrah. I mean, they had mistakes playing Soldier, right? Because you might expect Libero to come out on a Farah or something, or maybe a Genji. You don't expect Widow. And then in the second phase, Lepelos, 5:28 left to push the final third distance.
Yeah,
There
so
is
no
no defense here
defense.
from
Yeah,
Boston.
absolutely not. And it doesn't even look good at the start of the defense in the third phase. You got Pine still poking off or going off here, getting Neko early. Does end up in some poke, but self-destruct getting Helix, fighting getting messy, and NYXL excel in those times. Oh, sorry for the joke there, but
Lepelos. It started with 5:28 to push the final third. At 3:45 is when we get the hold. It's the payload is stopped 2.95 meters away with 3 minutes and 45 seconds left. From there, Boston is now playing the defense, not the exact same defense,
can
but
we
they're playing
mention?
defense.
Can
Yeah.
we mention though what that defense is now comprised of? You have Gamsu on that Orisa. That's what I
Yeah.
want to bring up here. I
It's
can't
different.
say I've seen an Orisa defense in third very often here.
I see it in my pub games all the time,
I
Lepelos.
mean, the pub games, but apparently Uprising playing pub games too. I don't know what else to say. I mean, it worked. I mean,
I mean,
we
basically
even saw
mistakes.
we even
Mistakes.
saw the zoning supercharger come out.
Mistakes had to go Widow because Pine was too uncontested, and Mistakes just he wasn't getting anything done. He goes Widow just because again, like on Route 66, I don't need you to beat him. I need you to slow him down. I need you to make him not kill us so quickly. And that 5:28 Lepelos that went to 3:45 is now down to overtime, where Sabolbi once again pops hero or bloodlust or whatever, cooldown you want to call it, and he pops off, man.
Yeah, you say that. You're absolutely right. That's one of two aspects of this fight that matters. The other, though, I joked about it just there. This was sub a minute. You toss down that supercharger. By the way, everyone says fight winning supercharger. It does nothing. They just back off from it because they weren't engaged when they put it
Yeah,
down on the ground.
yeah.
That is a huge mistake, Jax. That is a huge, huge mistake. I mean, even more so than say I'll be popping off here. If you have what is considered, and probably by a lot of analysts and coaches, to be one of the most strong or one of the strongest fight winning by percentage ultimates, and you drop it down and get zero value from it in the last minute, that is a huge mistake.
It's funny you said it. There's a thread on competitive Reddit, Overwatch Reddit, 2 days ago, maybe three. A guy was talking about how Orisa's ultimate just it's not flashy.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's not.
it's bright, but he doesn't. You don't get the same
You don't
feeling
get to kill
as if
everything.
you get that rip tire, or if you hit the monster blade, or the pulse bomb, or the graviton, or the Ursa,
or the nano boost, even, or
everything else can be a fatty, right? You got this fatty shatter, or this fatty whatever, or the dragon strike, and he says, "Well, I got this fatty supercharger, y'all. I just got all 6 of us with the supercharger." It's like, well, I mean, it doesn't really,
It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
feel. It doesn't feel great, but the effect of it is.
If you time it right, your damage is high, but they didn't have. You're right, because they needed it. Because
They needed it,
Sabobi is
absolutely.
just blinking around doing Sabobi like things. They get the overtime cap Lepelos, but it's overtime. Boston knows we can do it. That's doable. Overtime is doable. You got to feel good about overtime, and it kind of makes me wonder because coming into this, they're talking about what we could see a sixth map. What Lepelos? What happens if this map is also a draw?
Yeah, I mean, these are good questions, Jax. I think it just keeps on going. Like they would probably add
Does it
extra
go
maps.
indefinitely, Lepelos?
This is not like each team, because it would suck if they automatically got a win off of a draw, right? So I suspect it was.
It's
I don't know
something that
the
I
exact
think they might need to look at. I mean, I don't know what the
problem
what
with
the
draws
rules
in the
are
game still.
because okay, see, because I'm taking a look at it, right, and we're gonna get back to the Boston attack in a second, but this map was Nambani has the potential, Lepelos, to end in a draw. The next map after this was Junkertown. Again, the potential, very low chance. The potential is there for Junkertown to end in a draw.
I mean, I have
And then
not seen
after
a
that,
draw
you have
on an
Oasis,
escort,
which wouldn't have been a draw. So that's where New York might have been able to get that third win. But if Boston wins, and we're on Oasis, which is a map 6, right, and it's now what 2-1 on map 6, like, do they what happens?
yeah, these are all good questions. I do
I
not
wish.
know.
I
What
wish.
I can tell you is about Uprising's attack here, Jax.
Go for it.
NYXL starting off with strong defense, including the first defense here. Not a single pick on the side of Uprising. Wow, you're not feeling good. That said, Gamsu getting a Primal Rage kill, Striker getting a Pulse Bomb kill. That's what you need for your alt value in, I believe it was the third fight where this comes out. So Sabiel will be missing his timing on his return as Uprising capture a point. You don't want to give any team any
This
room
was
to try
Gamsu.
and
This was Gamsu.
yeah, okay.
I mean, I talked about Mano on Volskaya and him jumping and getting the Primal Rage and causing havoc. It happened again. Gamsu jumped in the back. He made them run. Once he had them running, he popped Primal and he made them run even more. A team that's scattered is not a team that's focused enough to kill your team that's trying to capture the first point. The Winston has got them this first cap. However, Lepelos, similar to Route 66, where New York had 520 to push the first point, now on Nambani, New York had 528, Boston 330. The similarities, my friend, between these two maps, right, where it's 520 on Route 66, it was 520 for New York and 325 for Boston, and now on Nambani, it's 520 again, Lepelos, for New York and 330 for Boston. They're so far behind. They're so far behind.
I mean, edges on those first points, Jax, have huge portion of the game, and I think it in Junkertown. We mentioned it mattered. It mattered here as well.
I mean,
Pine coming alive, though. Let's be honest. That's what happened here in third.
Stage. In the second stage, Boston did good work
Yeah.
to not lose. They gained time. They
They
went from
ganked him.
330 to 335. It's not much.
Yeah,
It's something though. So 335 to capture it out.
yeah, 335 to capture it out, and NYXL starts getting aggressive with their defense. It starts paying off. I mean, yes, Note does land a huge 2 kill on supports, and Mistake does get Sabiobi Uprising win that first fight. But you know what? The cart's not moving through that. You know, you didn't back off, so they still have distance to make up here.
This Leplos, this was also a bit of a head scratcher for me. Pine, the big boss man, he dropped his Widow, and then in Spawn he went McCree, and then he went Widow, and then he went Genji, and he settled on Genji. I'm
And
like,
we're playing pub
okay,
games, Jax.
Leplos, his Genji was boring. His blade that he got was one before he died. However, on the flip side, mistakes.
Yeah.
He went Widow himself, and what has he done on this Widow, Leplos?
I believe absolutely nothing. I believe he got rezzed on that Widow. I believe that's about it, though.
Yeah.
He was also subject to that Dragon Blade death from.
I mean, here's the deal. They get it, it was 2.95 meters for New York when they were stopped. Boston gets it 1.4 meters short, Lepelos, with 2 minutes and 10 seconds left. 2 minutes. They get stopped on 1.4 meters short. If they had been able to cap it out there, what a position that would have left them in. Now, I'm going into, and I'm saying I mean, they're going into overtime, Lepelos. What happens again? So Bolby pops Hero because it's been 10 minutes. The cooldown is off for the Bloodlust.
Mode,
He's ready to go again. It's a scramble fight. Believe it or not, who loves a scramble fight over a payload? Because Boston cannot leave the payload. If they leave, they lose. So you have Sabolbi blinking around because Tracer has all this mobility. And who does that leave free in the back line? The big boss man Pine. And he says, you leave me back here, I'm going to start shooting. I'm going to start killing and chunking you for damage. And when I chunk you for damage, that leaves you a nice soft target for Sabolbi to clean up. New York cleans Boston up, Lepelos. 15-match win streak has ended.
Incredible performance over a long period of time coming out of the Uprising. NYXL, though, showing why they're champions of stages with this win here. I know this is a 3-0 and there was a draw, so it's a 1-0. It depends on where you want to put the draw in that numbering scheme. But I think that this was still a fairly competitive game. This was not like NYXL versus Valiant.
It wasn't like either one of the two semifinals. I mean, yes, the 3-0 was the same. Nothing like them, Lepelos. And honestly, it was New York taking almost like a broken record. They just took it that it's what you have to do though. Like almost everybody has played some kind of sport or been in some kind of competition, and there are moments where you just have to find it. You don't know where you find it though from somewhere, and you take it that next level to get it done. And for me, it was the team as an overall. Sabolbi just stepped up. I said probably 3 weeks ago, and I've been saying it, and I've been questioning. I've been saying, I think Striker is ready to take the best Tracer title away from Sabolbi. And I believe I said it on the podcast. I know I said it maybe in our conversation on TeamSpeak or on Discord. I said, if Boston wins stage 3, I have to give it to Striker over Sabolbi. And then you get this performance from from Lepelos. You get him on the stage with Zoe, and what does he say? I am the best Tracer in the world.
Can't refute it.
He is 100%
Can't refute that, Jax. I like the ego. You need to have an ego if you're going to be the top in the league and
Lepelos,
continue to perform like it.
This was a chip on his. You know it because you hear Bryn and Sideshow and the analysts throughout the entire stage.
By the way,
last 3 weeks, we hear it over and over.
And
they talk about these numbers, right? Everybody thought Striker is the best Tracer. You know that little chip on his shoulder, Lepelos. It's just getting heavier and heavier. And then he's like, I've got to shake this off. And he shakes it off all over the Boston Uprising. Unbelievable performance from his whole team. But for me, Sabolbi just says, I'm going to show them and remind them what is my name, Who am I? I am the best. Now stop talking about Striker. And he did.
Yeah, Striker having a bit of a struggle against
I
the
mean, he
New
didn't play
York
bad.
Excelsior.
Striker
He
did not
didn't
play
play
bad.
bad, but
Striker was no Asher.
he
Striker,
didn't clutch like he had
he
formerly, right? Like
no,
that.
he Lepelos, he got out clutched.
He got out clutched.
Think about
Listen,
on how many maps, dude, where Sabobi just
that
took
said,
it that
Jax,
extra step.
I want you to be able to answer this one for me. In terms of most valuable to your team, do you think Sabiolbe's more valuable to his team, or do you think Striker's more valuable to the Boston Uprising?
See Boston.
Because you're talking about
Okay, here's
relative
the deal.
measures, right? Like
Here's
about the
the
rest
deal.
of
I think
Boston and the rest of
New York
NYXL.
might not be the number one team in the league. They would still be in the hunt for the playoffs without Sabobi. You take Striker away from Boston, even before the Dreamcasper disaster, they are they're screwed.
Yeah, I agree with you, and
They're screwed.
it's going to be interesting to see what moving into stage 4 if they can continue to do well with their current lineup. Maybe with
Depends on the depends.
Baguette coming out, Jax with
You know what I
support
find?
heavy. They have how many supports? I believe it's 5 on the roster.
I mean, they had. I don't think.
I don't know.
God, that last guy, Aim God. I don't think he's here yet. But the problem I have is I remember I told you I was watching the Gladiator press conference afterwards, post game, and they asked the coach, we're gonna see a lot of Baguette next stage, and he's like, which version are we getting? He doesn't even know.
He doesn't know.
He's the coach of the Los Angeles Gladiators. He's a week and a half out from next stage. He doesn't even know what patch they're gonna be playing on.
Yeah, that's very frustrating from an
Come
organizational
on.
standpoint. But Jax, if we're also talking about other things on the side now, and we are starting to wrap things up, just so you guys know.
Yeah.
I want to mention Bren's pick for the semifinal: Gladiators versus Uprising. He went with Gladiators, Jax.
He expected a lot more out of the Gladiators, the same as I did. I'm sorry, that was a pitiful performance.
But how could you still? They just lost in this week to the Uprising, and you're also talking about an undefeated team for the stage. He picks the underdog. Is that just pandering to the crowd at that point?
I don't think it was. No, I don't. I know. Wait, I think I might have actually picked him in our picks, not just because it's just a feeling. It was wrong, obviously. It was a feeling. It's just I was shocked. I'm still shocked by that performance
like
that
how
they
poor
came
they
out
did.
with.
I do agree with you on that, Jax. It was definitely poor
It
performance.
was a weird feeling that I had, and when Huck made that statement, I'm like, so many times. Not that I'm a huge believer in karma and everything. It's just the moment was that I really, really thought that they could do it, but they have no imagination, Lepelos. And then it's not just Gladiators. It's the Valiant. I'm sorry. I take you back to Temple of Anubis. Genji Tracer for a full on offense and defense. Lepelos. No, 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 not at all.
I do
Unprepared.
wonder. I mean, Jax, maybe this is why. In other news, we have seen some coaching changes throughout the league.
I haven't had time to read it, but Robin, I think he translated a message. Oh, I mean, so basically, I guess we should say what it is.
Yeah.
Brad from Selfless, say Selfless. He was from Selfless, but NRG's head coach Brad is now
which is
out.
Shock.
Yes.
San Francisco Shock.
Yes.
I mean, guys, I know it's confusing, but don't worry.
Shock,
we don't have it figured out either.
Because you know what? His Twitter handle is NRG Brad. That's why NRG was in my head.
And that's why you don't put your brand in like okay, whatever. Anyways,
a number of players have moved away from that because they're like, crap, I've got this team that I don't play for anymore.
Yeah, no, yeah, you gotta move. You gotta move on.
But he's out from San Francisco. The guy they brought in to replace him, though, Lepelos, Boston Uprising head coach Krusty.
You gotta try and move up in the world.
Excuse me?
I wonder how much money. Listen, maybe this is the San Francisco Shock realizing how important coaching is and tossing some money out that way to somebody who has been proven with maybe a lesser team from the outside to pull it together and perform well at the Overwatch League level. So
I put his statement in Twitch chat here. I also linked it on Discord. I'm pretty sure it'll be up on the competitive Overwatch Reddit as well. It's longer than we have time to read right now, but it takes me back to what Leak Boy, Slasher said in stage 2 when Boston was struggling and Gamsu was gone, and he hinted that there's things are not all happy in the Boston Uprising camp, and people discredited him for it because nothing happened of it. But obviously, level of something is going on. You don't leave a team you took on a 15-0 win streak. You
Yeah.
finished second only to the best team in the league right before the final stage of the regular season going into the playoffs.
Yeah,
You
I
don't
mean,
do that.
there's also a possibility here that the contract talks were going on for longer as
Right.
well to move him because it's not like they finished and then like he makes this decision day of. This
Right.
decision was coming, so there must have been conversations about this on the upper level of management on both sides. So
I mean,
this is not out of the blue for them.
I'm briefly looking at it, and he says he's not leaving because of internal conflict or discord. Do I
That's a
believe him? No,
generic.
I don't believe him.
That's
I
a
mean,
generic
Jack,
statement.
how do you not believe what he's saying? Easy. I don't believe that. Not at all. But I wish him luck there. I'm now Lepelos. I am very interested in what San Francisco Shocker are going to do because they're on the rise, right? That team has been improving with Architect,
And no
Super.
joke there
Like I'm looking to see
on the
what
rise.
can he do with that lineup
Yeah,
at San Francisco, and then now I'm saying to myself, how much of Boston was Coach Krusty? Because
these
you
are
just
good
lost your
questions.
head coach.
We have
And
seen
Lepelos, not
coaching
not
is really
just that,
important.
right? The other coaching news we had, and we don't know where this is Overwatch rundown. And while this is the playoff edition, we do have to cover other things, and it's a playoff edition because it's also contenders playoffs. The Philadelphia Fusion contender team, Fusion University, has lost their head coach days before the
Incredible.
playoff land
I
in
mean,
Katowice,
we
Lepelos.
continually talk about this too, and it's
Lepelos, they're
incredible.
gonna poach the coach days before the
Poached the coach.
playoffs.
Yes, I do believe they got poached. Their coach
Lepelos.
was
Where's he
poached.
going? Is he going to Boston? Is he going to Dallas?
No, he's not going to either of those ones. I don't have that one handy actually right now, but it's not an Overwatch League team, right?
Wait, do we know this for sure?
I'm not entirely sure. That's why I'm not. I don't want to.
Lepelos. I no because listen, it has to be Overwatch League. There was I'm pulling it up right now. The tweet. Wow. Of course, I go to the Fusion Twitter page, and what do I see? I see dinner from Chef Coach Heidi. First thing that pops
Jackson's
up
favorite.
right here. I'm hungry, Lepelos. Okay.
Me too. Me
I had
too.
I didn't have the best dinner, but I'm scrolling down now. Oh, why do they tweet so much? It was just here, and now I can't find it.
Okay, that's okay, Jax, because you know what? You know we're gonna cover this and more next week.
Lepelos, how did you gonna take the team's coach? They have playoffs in 4 days, and the team is flying out to Katowice and like, well, I know you had this coach who led you to an undefeated regular season in contenders. They have not lost, Lepelos, and well, we're taking your coach because we need him. Now,
There's a possibility that like because obviously he's still connected with the team. Maybe he just helps out for the last little bit. I'm not going to speak for him though because hopefully by this point going into the finals or the semis that their prep work is already done. That's the majority of the work, and hopefully they have the leadership on that team, which they have experienced players, and that can carry through to earn them the overall victory. I think it will. I think they're favorites for a reason. And it's not just the coach, but I agree with you.
okay,
Poaching
why
does
am I
suck
not
when it happens at
finding?
this point in
I
the
had
game.
all these Twitter posts about this guy's job, and I can't find any of them now.
Questionable, Jax. He's
Where's it
disappearing
gone,
from the internet.
Lepelos?
Who knows what is
Because
going?
it said
We're not disappearing though, Jax, but we are saying goodbye here
Where
tonight.
did it go? They were
I
talking about it
I
being a
don't
step
know.
up for him. Here, I found it. I have found it. I had to go to the third Twitter page. They thank Coach Arrow for his outstanding leadership, Lepelos. Sorry to see him go, but we understand when a great opportunity arises, you need to go for it. That's Overwatch League.
There you are.
A great opportunity arises. You take a look at the coaching landscape right now, Lepelos.
Rises.
Boston
Yes.
or Dallas. Now,
He said it rises. Jax, do we read into that?
You think
We should
you
wait.
think so? Because the other thing that someone said on Reddit was it's a great opportunity, and then they followed it up with not Dallas Fuel.
Ouch.
Dallas Fuel, is that a great opportunity? I'm sorry for the Fuel fans, but as of right now, no. That team, I'd blow that team up.
Jax,
I would
if
keep
we
effect maybe and blow up that team and start over.
if we were a different group, we'd make a YouTube video about this controversy right now, complete
Yes,
with the clickbaity title and thumbnail. But we're not. What we are at OW Rundown on Twitter. I'm at
Yep.
Lepelos. He's at Jax_Blake.
Next week will be a contenders episode / preview stage 4. Hopefully, Lepelos, by next Sunday, we'll have some idea what damn patch they're going to be playing on.
We'll figure it out. And guys, just again, one last thing. If you're listening to this on the podcast, sorry about the audio off the start. I do appreciate you guys sticking with us.
I'm glad my internet fixed itself, dude. It was terrible.
And
I couldn't
I'm
understand.
glad for that
I really
too.
couldn't.
Hopefully everything has worked out. We'll be hopefully doing even better next week with internet and audio
I
problems.
can't control it. I live in a
past.
major metropolitan city, Lepelos. I almost cursed. See, that's bad.
That is bad. But you know what? We're not bad here because I'm about to play the music and we are headed out.
Okay. Hey, Toasty Lock is fire. He didn't give us a single clock. Not a single clock. Look how far over on time we are, Lepelos. Hour and 40 minutes. Are you kidding me? You said short episode.
Countdown. Did you stop recording?
No, it's still going.
All right. We gotta